We could start.
Yeah.
Or we could just watch Swordfish.
Can
we just watch Swordfish, dude?
Yeah. Just like what I'm doing.
Are you recording us watching Swordfish?
I am.
Okay.
I
Let's
guess.
just leave it on in the background. We can leave it at a low level.
That's true.
So, like, yeah, just, we'll let people know this is the Swordfish episode. Scientology blackmailed him into making this movie.
Well, that Battlefield Earth, of course, also.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Which is a genuine.
He was so excited.
I love Battlefield Earth.
He was
Battlefield
so
Earth is good.
excited.
He is so good in that movie.
My favorite
His laughter. Have you seen
the
the
laughter?
My favorite line of all time is in that movie when Forrest Whitaker goes up to the guy they enslaved who learned how to speak, dreadlock alien or whatever. And he fucking, he says something to them in their language, and Forrest Whitaker says, "How the blast you know about that, man animal?"
The terrible director, Scott Christian, he wanted to direct it, put a stamp on it, so everything is a Dutch angle, every single shot is canted, every one. It's it's supposed to be for dramatic effect.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to.
What if humanity was enslaved by corn?
I don't call that slavery, my friend. I call that freedom.
The American way.
It's just like
Language is just that
While you were still learning how to spell your name, I was being trained to conquer galaxies. Oh, you're too much.
It's okay.
Any bonus content.
We can break in with Swordfish,
Yeah.
as appropriate. But on a personal level, it's the holiday season. It's Christmas time, and like I always say, to give is to receive. Even more so when you have some sort of platform to broadcast your benevolence to the world. So, how'd you guys like the gift basket I got you?
Thank you for the Zaybars. The black and white cookies.
Those are the best.
Good. I've been slicing off big chunks of the babka.
Let me ask you: when you eat a black and white cookie, do you eat one side first, or do you try to get
No,
black
I split
and
it
white
down the
in
middle.
both?
Yeah.
You split it down the middle, so you get the perfect halves.
yep.
Okay.
Will got us a triple parentheses gift basket. Triple parentheses.
Nothing
if
but
you know what I
globalist
mean.
treats.
Yeah.
Also on the holiday agenda, Felix, you're back. You've been on a vacation. Felix,
from friggin' Atlantic City over
no,
here.
Felix just got back from Westworld. And, this is Dark Felix because it revealed his true soul.
You guys have a black hat on.
I have a black hat. Well, it was a really fun vacation. Got to see people I hadn't seen in a while, which is always great. It was also an emotional vacation to me. My ancestors did come to Chicago, but they landed on the East Coast first. And as I went up and down the Mid-Atlantic, I saw the racism factory that my great-grandfather first worked in.
Felix, could you stop talking for a second because this is the Halle Berry nude scene.
Oh,
Swordfish.
okay, yeah.
Oh, we're about to see
Oh,
boobs.
we missed it.
Oh, no, yeah.
$1 million right there.
Wow.
So you had a good vacation in Westworld, Atlantic City,
Right. I won money gambling, and I've only lost money gambling before, so I think now that I won money, I'm never going to lose money again. 'Cause that's how it works. You just break good.
Can I pull the room? Do slot machines count as gambling?
Fuck no.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
That's
It's a
weak
game
shit,
of chance,
yo.
bitch. It's a game of chance, and you get to play prestige TV slot. I played the House of Cards slot machine.
It's
And,
gendered.
like,
It's
yeah,
gendered.
yeah,
it's
yeah.
sexist to
Yeah,
say
well,
that that's not gambling.
yeah,
you're
because that's what
treating
women do.
All those old ladies?
Those old
Yeah,
ladies
with the-
like they're not actual addicts. Why would you take them?
When you win on the House of Cards, he says House of Cards shit every time you repeat a bet. He's like,
Awesome.
there's more than one way to pluck a rooster. It's a good machine. But no, it was great. I went to Baltimore. Baltimore was great. Every problem that I have with New York, it's not in the Mid-Atlantic. Way less people. The pizza's thicker.
Boo.
And marginally better train systems in some places.
But also the setting of the documentary series The Wire.
The Wire, the most
all
real
love.
as
The most
as a
realistic
writer
thing
for
ever.
Vox who went to Little Lord Fauntleroy School for boys who sleep in oxygen tents. I can tell you, it's the most realistic show ever. That's what drug dealing is really like. I know.
I call it Bodymore.
Bodymore Murderland.
Yeah, Murderland. You brought up the House of Cards slot machine, and that I think will be the good segue, I think, into the funniest thing that happened this week. A lot of funny shit happened this week, but one of the funnier things that happened this week was the House of Cards tweet storm, the
Yes.
epic
Oh my
farking
God.
tweet
Yeah.
thread.
All right,
Let's do some game theory.
Yeah, guys, can we do some game theory?
Yeah.
Actor analysis. Halle Berry got paid an extra $1 million to show her tits.
Yeah. If you put in column 1B, John Travolta wears a really cool goatee that went out of style until 2013, and now it's cool again.
Game theory is where you just talk about movies. It's where you talk about
Yeah.
the movie The Game with Michael Douglas, right?
My theory about it is it's all fucking dream, man.
So this is the thing that happened this week. This is a guy anonymous until now, right? Like I have no idea who this guy
An
is.
unsung hero of the internet.
I had no idea who he was before. I think most people didn't, and they're all pretending like they did.
Yeah. They're like, what are you talking about? He wrote the NatSec blog Prometheus's Treadmill. You
like-
don't know about
Well,
that
no, like
blog?
if you go to the guy Eric Garland, right?
Yeah.
If you go to his website, like it just says stuff like the strategies to win the future, like know the moves, like win the game. And it's just like he does like motivational, like tactical speeches for
Yeah.
like 20 grand a pop,
It's like PUA techniques for entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically. One of my favorite digressions is if someone would like ask him like, "Damn, you're on fire," and he's like, "I'm running off craft beer and Adderall," and I'm just like, when you're like an adult, just saying that like I'm on Adderall, it's just, that's just saying like you're on speed. It's just,
you
you're
have
just
an
taking
upper
speed.
and
Like
when you mix Adderall with alcohol, like you're
Yeah,
just
he didn't
taking
say
fucking
I'm medicated though.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said I am doing drugs right now.
You know
Which-
which is like the only way you could do 128
Yeah.
tweets threaded together.
You know
I mean, I will do drunken tweets, but I run out of steam after like 10.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
the longest one threading thing I've ever done was like maybe 5. Yeah, like maybe 8 or 10.
Except
Wait, does the
Giamatti.
Giamatti count?
Yeah.
Well, except for Paul Giamatti.
Giamatti is a
project.
that is a lifelong project. That's like
Beautiful.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful.
It's like how it
Transcends
took
the art
like
form.
hundreds of years to build, Notre Dame. It's like that. It's not like all in one night.
Like the thing, like basically the entire point of this moronic.
It had a point.
Yeah, well, the point was that.
I only read a few of the tweets.
No.
Well, that's the thing.
you
Is like
can't
people
read
read
it.
them out of context, and they're like, "Oh, this guy's onto something." But if you put them all together, it's just gibberish.
Yeah.
It's just
He's having a
absolute
nervous
gibberish.
breakdown.
Like-
I saw just a few though, a random sampling, and I wasn't like, there's something here. I was like, oh, these are the ramblings of a madman.
Like the entire point is that basically, like Russia has got America to distrust the CIA.
What the fuck, yo?
I can't believe they did that.
I can't, they shook our faith in the
Yeah.
institution that we all know and love.
They got the CIA to sell crack. That's
yeah.
amazingly devious of them.
And that, like, Snowden and Glenn Greenwald and Chelsea Manning are all, agents of influence. They're traitors, blah, blah, blah. Essentially by revealing things that are true about Western intelligence agencies gets people to distrust them. And that's the problem. I will say, though, I mean, most of it was stupid. But the one point that I thought was actually vile that crossed the line is when he referred to Chelsea Manning as, quote, a character so feisty, so fragile was the quote, and it's like,
Oh my
well, this is a
God.
person who's currently being basically tortured to death for in solitary confinement.
Yeah, the libs really show their hand with the way that they talk about Chelsea Manning. Like,
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
genuinely, like Joanne Reed, like they take glee in the idea that she's like suffering.
Right. I mean, at best, they treat Manning in this condescending manner, like, "Oh, crazy little Manning," and at worst, they're like, sort of treat her as an insect that needs to be squashed.
Yeah.
Did you guys read Sam Chris's piece about this?
Yes.
in Slate?
Oh, yeah.
That's fantastic. We should link to that. I mean, Sam basically says everything that you need to know about. But like the point is that like this whole thing blew up because so many people embrace this as being like, wow, like this is the statement that explains everything. Like this guy's on fire. Like the usual suspects all were just like A+ writing, bud. And this should disturb us all that like people who with some
the
level
new
of
Federalist
influence
Papers.
yeah. What's her name? Clara Jeffrey
Clara
said it was
Jeffrey.
the new Federalist Papers.
Oh my God.
Again, something written.
Yeah,
on a
the
guy
people that
cranked
were
up on
gushing
Adderall.
over this were, were.
And by the way, fucker, the new Federalist Papers is Hamilton, obviously.
I actually think it's the Federalist magazine itself.
But I think we should find this disturbing because, as sort of Sam points out, is that basically, as he coins them, the alt center have now basically lost their mind.
They're nuts.
If they're
Completely
keying into
unstable.
this and
Yeah.
if they're vibrating at the same frequency as this guy, I mean, that's
Yeah.
troubling. They're having unreality issues.
politicians have retreated into a fantasy world.
A strange thing happened. Eric Garland got hopped up on his kid's Adderall and tweeted, Icon has WikiLeaks.
I like that you specified craft beer.
Yeah.
Like, just
yeah,
so you know,
that's a
I'm not a
total
piece
douche
of
move.
shit. I'm a smart, intelligent person that drinks craft beer because it would be seen for what it was if he just said like high
I'm
life.
fucking drunk.
Yeah, I'm subjecting my brain cells to the Holodomor by mixing Adderall and alcohol, but at least it's racist uncle staph infection IPA.
Well, the worst part about this, aside like the actual content of what he was saying, which was drivel, it was all written in this like the internet house, like the Wonkat,
Yeah, the Wonkat
the
shit,
Wonkat
yeah.
house style guide, circa 2005, where it's just like Vladimir Putin, epic douche waffle, rolling on the floor laughing. Icon has documents or something.
Yeah.
Like it's just like
Yeah, obviously the election of Trump has broken the brains of all of the libs, and they're retreating both into a conspiracy that comforts their beliefs and dispels their doubts about their candidacy and about what they were trying to get behind, and also like they're already kind of flashing back to the Bush years. Like they're already talking kind of like pining weirdly for the Bush years when Trump looked like he might maybe win, because then they would get to be #the resistance.
Yeah.
And so I guess that means
let's talk about that in a
we're going to go
second.
back to that means I guess part of that is we're going to go back to Web 1.0 speak.
Yeah,
Somebody's going to have a website that's like Donald Trump ate my balls.
yeah. Donald Trump is a chimp. I think the first thing is important, though. I obviously want to talk about the meme cat speak more, but the first thing is important because, I mean, this is sort of like the stabbed in the back theory. Like, the liberals have to believe that there was a decades-long Russian conspiracy to make them look like ineffectual governors of society and out of touch and stupid, because there's no way that could have happened on their own. They didn't lose all those midterms on their own. They didn't kill the public option on their own. The media didn't, blow its relationship with the American public on its own. Our institutions didn't fail on its own. We were just stabbed in the back by some rootless tracksuit wearing cosmopolitans.
I was going to say the other disturbing thing about the Eric Garland phenomenon is once again how just frighteningly similar it is to Carl Diggler and shit that we just jokes that we've done on this show. I didn't know who this guy was until like a couple days ago, and then like he did this whole thing, and then it comes out. Felix, could you elaborate for us on this guy's Carl Diggler angle?
Usually, if you want to see somebody's family court tweets, you have to dig them up. They're like 2 or 3 years ago, and then like they learn to be woke and like not tweet about the conniving bitch judge or cow who hates fathers. But after like every journalist was like, this guy, he big cup of wind. He won the internet in 2016. You, my good sir, have earned yourself a mother bitching beer. He was like, now that I have all the goodwill, I can start tweeting about the real shit. And he immediately starts tweeting about family court. I think he said immediately, like the day after everyone sucked his dick, he was like, family court judges shouldn't care who you fuck. It's not their business.
I hope that he did that entire tweet storm just to get everyone's attention.
Yeah.
So that he could bring
Yeah.
To get to
light
the real
how
issues.
fucked up
Yeah.
It's
family court is.
Yeah, it's like if Fan Man was raising awareness for family court. But so, of course, you just search his name and like judge alimony and shit. And so this is like many stories. This has a auspicious beginning, and he goes, you know what? I focused on my wife and kids enough. It's time to focus on my career. It's my time.
Yeah, no. I think Virgil found like the
Yeah.
life comes at you fast moment
Yeah.
where like you could see like the dates of the tweets from like 2012 to 2013, and 2012 was like, I need to focus on my career right now. Like, sorry, wife and kids come second. And then
Yeah.
like 2013, he's like, sometimes life just doesn't work out the way you want.
Yeah, and then in like 2014, he's like, the sexual revolution caused women to divorce good men.
He was replying to Radio Tom. I think on the low, one of the absolute worst people on Twitter. I fucking despise him. And he was replying to like, it took me getting divorced to really realize like the damage that the sexual revolution has wrought on our society. You were right about that, Tom.
Yeah.
I love the idea of these guys in DMs being like, these bitches, man.
Yeah.
But that one wasn't even like the most interesting thing to me because I didn't know who that person was. It was Tim Wise's fucking shitting his diaper.
Oh man.
But I was like, wow, this is where we're at now.
Okay, can we give some background on who Tim Wise is for people who don't know?
Tim Wise has
He's a professional ally.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a professional ally.
He's basically the safety pin box in human form.
Yeah. He has like a variation of the Ken Burns haircut, if that helps you understand who he is as a person. Like he doesn't have an adult man's haircut. And he talks a lot about privilege, and he desperately wants a cool black friend.
He's
to
been
be
around
a buddy
for
cop
years
movie.
doing this.
Yeah.
Though.
Yeah, so the weird thing is he's never had any kind of, like, no one has ever taken him seriously as an intellectual. He's a very professional managerial classes kind of anti-racist thinker or whatever. And he went apeshit on Russia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As not like political objection or anything. He just like became an anti-Slav, like fucking
Brain pans of these wretched people.
Mr. President, if I may speak freely, the Rusky talks big, but frankly, we think he's short of know-how. I mean, you just can't expect a bunch of ignorant peons to understand a machine like some of our boys.
I may or may not have insinuated that everything about his entire career stems from his weird racialized sexual anxieties.
Well,
this is all a sex thing. You can't be that like that. And not have it come back to a sexual anxiety.
It's always that.
Yeah.
Like if I'm gonna read one of his thoughts on Russia. Now I want you to keep in mind this guy's big contribution to society is like going to Oberlin and going like, how come they give white people Burger King when they get arrested? Like that's just being paid $100,000 to do that. Seriously, when your contribution to the world is Fabergé eggs, autocracy, and pogroms, no one should much care what you think. With each new day, I know why part of my family left shithole of Imperial Russia. 100
That's
years.
not how you spell shtetl.
100 years after last Rev, let's hope for another one. Come at me, broski. Come on me, broski. I mean, come at me.
That was exactly the Josh Barrow line about Russia. This
Why are these
idea
guys so proud of their country that's
like,
just a piece
how
of shit?
fucking ignorant do you have to be to say of Russia, what is their significant cultural output?
Aren't you a writer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Who is
I mean,
the Tolstoy
you know,
of the Russians?
he's Josh fucking Barrow.
All right, hold
if you
on.
want to call that writing, we need another word for whatever everyone else is doing.
We have a sorry, I was trying to remove it now, a day later. Was trolling I guess it stands for particularly ethno-nationalist with earlier Russia tweets. Shouldn't have done so the way I did.
He was doing an irony.
Glad to own mistake. We all make them. Sometimes you just say that every Russian is an insect.
Yeah.
And that's not meant as an insult, Mr. Ambassador. I mean, you take your average Rusky, we all know how much guts he's got. Hell, look at all of them Nazis killed off, and they still wouldn't quit.
Can't you stick to the point, General?
I neither hate Russians, 1/4 of my family is from there, nor deny their achievements. Was bad attempt to use stupid white gnat trope against them. I hate it when you try to use someone's own logic to defeat them, and you accidentally say that this group of people is basically livestock.
I hate it when you're so obviously trolling cultural chauvinism and people think you're literally culturally chauvinist.
Well, you know, irony is a double-edged sword.
Yeah,
He's just not good at it.
Yeah.
because he's not a good writer.
I
He's
have
not a
at
good
least
thinker.
30 tweets about how much I hate the French. No one has ever thought I actually hate the French. There's clearly not a misunderstanding.
As long as we're making apologies to ethnic groups we've slandered in the past, now that we've gotten a write-up in the Irish Times, I would like to apologize.
Yeah, God bless you, bog-dwelling potato eaters.
I just want to be 100% clear. Everything we've ever said about the Irish on this show applies to Irish Americans,
Right.
not
Yeah.
actual
They're a different
Irish
species.
people. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All times that we called the Irish at large bog creatures, it was actually an attempt at irony to defeat white nationalists by their own logic.
Yep.
That's Eric Garland, Tim Wise. Can we move on now to Seizure Gate?
Yeah.
Probably.
Wait, what? Did I miss this?
Seizure Gate?
Have I been so hopped up on NyQuil and codeine that I completely missed this?
Did you miss Kurt? This is a Kurt Eichenwald thing that happened this week.
No, I missed this entirely.
Wow,
This is
Amber,
real good.
This is a joy.
Can we do? There has to be a prequel to it, and it's called My Large Kung Fu Sons.
Okay, so I saw that shit.
Yeah.
That was amazing. That was
Really good.
absolutely amazing.
To recap, Kurt Eichenwald, we've spoken about him on the show before, senior Newsweek reporter, has just been an en fuego. I mean, the guy is just like,
He's trying to save the republic, sir. What are you doing for this nation that is any way comparable?
he is putting out a body of work now through the medium of Twitter that I think is like almost unparalleled. Before someone found the Large Kung Fu Sons tweet, in which basically he said, hey, buddy, if you ever try to attack any of my sons, they're large and one of them is a Kung Fu master.
They're rowdy
have it-
as hell.
Okay, here we go.
I have it right here. By the way, for anyone thinking about threatening my kids, they're big. And one is a kung fu master trained in China. Those kids were as large as lightning. I asked him if there's kung fu training for taking down someone with a gun who's outside of your reach. He said yes, he'd been trained.
Wait, how do you use Kung Fu to take away a gun from someone who's like well outside your reach?
You don't.
This is
You
right-wing fantasy, like the only
It's
way
the
to
21
stop
foot
it,
rule.
you know?
Yeah. It's like when I'm wearing my cargo jean shorts and some hip hop thug points a gun at me. I unleash the arts of the Orient. Yeah.
Almost as good as Kung Fu Son is when someone found a thread where he was replying to, back in the Clock Boy controversy, he was replying to Anil Dash, and like someone had said to
Yes.
Anil something rude to Anil Dash, and Kurt responded to both of them, and he was like, Anil, like, ignore that guy. He speaks for the Trump Fox News like vision of the world. Your son's engineering prowess is like great. You should be proud of him. He thought Clock Boy was Anil Dash's son.
That's so good.
And
so
There's
good.
so many levels to that because
That's the
obviously,
best thing.
LOL, that you think he's his son. Also, the clock sucked. It was
Terrible
not.
clock.
It was not.
It was not
impressive.
engineering prowess.
It was
Just
a piece
took
of
a
shit.
clock.
It
But what is
looked
like
like
tweeting about now? Why is he back in the news?
Because because he's been on. Okay, so basically, he made a TV appearance with he was interviewed by Tucker Carlson on Fox News. A hostile interview. Did you guys watch that?
Oh
No.
wow, yeah.
Tucker doesn't wear the bow tie anymore, so
It was
I've lost
You lost
sexual
interest.
interest.
I mean, now that he's no longer a child and a young man at the age of 53, he had to give it up.
Yeah, he finally had to start dressing like an adult man.
Yeah.
So it's a particularly loud scene in Swordfish here. So I'm gonna have to.
We actually watch Swordfish before and during every show.
We got the biggest TV.
Open
Yeah, by the
palm
way, too,
slap. I opened palm slap movie and it's Swordfish, and I'm doing all the moves with Hugh Jackman.
For the listeners, we're being video recorded now. I have my personal videographers here at the Trap Palace, but Nick has just bought probably the most incredible television I've ever seen.
It's so beautiful.
It is so big and
We
crisp.
were watching Attenborough earlier. We were watching Caves.
That's
from
the best
first
one.
Season. It's
It's
so
so good.
good. Oh shit! I was freaking out. It was so beautiful.
Everybody watch Planet Earth, especially
yeah.
if you have on a 4K television.
We are
that is the size
a
of
nature documentary
This is-
trap house now.
the TV, the screen itself is like the size of like a Rembrandt painting.
It's
Like,
my height. It's actually my height.
I love it. It's fantastic. Sorry, back to Kurt, everybody. So he had an extraordinary interview with Tucker Carlson in which, I mean, it was bizarre. It was like he was losing his mind.
Yeah.
He was holding up a binder of Tucker Carlson falsehoods. It was very strange. I mean, basically, if you were gonna, if you do an interview and Tucker Carlson comes off looking good and sane, buddy. And then in the course of the interview, he said that he had like anonymous CIA sources that had like, a message for Tucker, but like he couldn't. Or then after he said it, he was like, my anonymous CIA sources have a message to Tucker. And he said this on Twitter like after the thing. And then he was just like, oops, I lost my notes. I don't know where it went. Very, very strange.
Yeah.
Very
No, but that's
Bizarre
also very
behavior.
like my dog is telling me to kill people.
Yeah.
large kung fu son of Sam.
Well, it's like,
I just love that he clearly imagined when he was going to confront Tucker Carlson and he was going to pull off an Aaron Sorkin like dressing down that was going to be viewed throughout the nation. Like people were going to stand up in their living room and clap.
Dude,
along to it.
this goes back exactly to the Eric Garland thing. Like these people, their minds have been melted by Aaron Sorkin and the West Wing.
Well,
Like, they're living it.
I mean, it's perfect confluence actually with the Kung Fu Sons because Kurt and these people believe that like through martial arts you can like fucking use chi to blast a gun out of a guy's hand, or if you do Krav Maga you can rehearse enough to be like, well, if a guy comes at me with an M16 at this angle, I'm just going to do this move and that move and this move. But like real life doesn't work like that.
Yeah, well,
you
they're
need
not-
live training, and they think of verbal confrontation the same way. They're like, when Tucker goes, "How dare you, sir?" I'm going to go, "How dare you, sir?" And then I'm going to take out my documents, and then, ooh, yeah.
Yeah, these
God,
aren't
I
really.
dropped him into the gravy. Ah, damn it. Oh,
aren't
my
really
pants are off.
ideological.
Oh, Jesus.
These aren't really ideological people. They really they just spend all their time fantasizing about having a dramatic moment.
Yes.
So like he had an accident on
dramatic
television and then was like trying to follow it up. And then, of course, the people who hate him are trying to wind him up. What happened is Kurt has written in the past about how he suffers from seizures. And apparently some deplorables have keyed into this fact. And one of them replied to him with a GIF of just like strobing colors and shapes and said, "You deserve a seizure for your writing." Kurt or somebody replied to it with, "This is Kurt's wife. He's having a seizure and the police have been called." And now Kurt is saying he's taking a Twitter break to pursue legal action, like an assault case against the person who sent him a GIF.
Wait, but you're missing the part that the person who sent him the GIF was called like Oven Kikeberg, and like the Kurt's wife tweet was like, "Oven Kikeberg, we found your information," which leads me to think that Kurt just Googled like Oven Kikeberg money scene.
Sorry, holy shit! Look at what Travolta is wearing right now.
Dude, he looks like Gaddafi.
He has a beret on.
dude.
This is
yeah.
what the best line I said it earlier. He's about to shoot the betraying senator, Sam Shepard, noted playwright Sam Shepard, and he says Thomas Jefferson shot a man on the White House lawn for treason, and it's like that didn't fucking happen. Well, you can't just make things up, John Travolta.
As we were
In
talking
that coat, he can.
I guess,
he can.
and with the beret too.
he's wearing a beret.
Yeah.
He looks so.
And as we
fucking
discussed
cool.
in
That,
Travolta's,
by the way, Travolta, that shot, and we should probably use that as the cover
definitely.
image if we can find it. That him in that fucking outfit is how all these guys think of themselves. Kurt Eichenwald,
Yeah.
that's who they think they are.
they're always getting off a helicopter.
Yep.
and
then they're
meeting-
confronting a treacherous senator, a
Glenn
perfidious criminal or something,
Yeah.
and being like,
They're meeting
and then
Glenn
they
Greenwald.
light him up.
of course, the senator is fly fishing.
Yeah.
This is
They
what
all
all
do that.
senators do.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I like to take a long break from my day of evil and fly fish.
I hope that Kurt actually does pursue this legal case, because that would be a landmark fucking case if it made it to the Supreme Court or something. The idea that you could be charged for assault for sending somebody an image over the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It's a
there's got to be a lawyer who's
realm
like,
of
But also on
jurisprudence.
Twitter, don't you have to press the button
You have to press
make
play.
the GIF run?
A deplorable just sent me a piano that he instructed me to string up above my head and fell on me, and now Tweety birds are flying
Yeah,
around my skull.
and also like flashing lights can cause seizures for epileptics, but it's not like, oh, you don't have time to notice that there's flashing lights.
or
and you
notice
can't-
that Oven Kikeberg sent it to you.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
oh, what
and said-
message
and
does my
said-
friend Oven
and
want to
said
send
you
me?
deserve a seizure.
Yeah.
With the GIF.
so like I said, Kurt's taking a break to pursue legal action.
I'm a truther about this. I'm a truther. I'm sorry. This
Okay, so like everyone went crazy because he was like, "This is Kurt's wife speaking."
Yeah.
Kurt is having a seizure right now.
Hell yeah.
and I'm on Twitter
like-
because I'm concerned for my husband and I want people to know what's going on.
We don't have time to litigate it, but we should mention that he has a history of lying
Oh, hell
he has
yeah.
such a weird dark history.
Yeah,
like,
he does.
honestly, it's too weird and fucked up. I don't even, I feel like I don't even want to talk about it without knowing more about it. But like the whole thing with him and this child pornography investigation that he did is very, very weird.
He's a fucking strange dude.
Hands, we can't name a band Free the Pedos.
Yeah, that was Seizure Gate. But Matt, you alluded to this earlier, and like this comes back all around now about how these people are losing their minds.
Just taking down this huge
He's
Sorry, so Nick is
no,
standing
that's
behind
his
me.
thing now.
What's up, Dak?
Eating a carrot like out of a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
so good. Oh my god, I'm sorry, I fucked up there.
By the way, guys, sorry for our fans. There was no fucking way we could follow up the Adam Curtis interview from last week. This is disgraceful. We're just having fun right now.
We're
just
playing
shooting
like
the
kids
shit.
out there.
Yeah, my
we
vacation
we all
never
went to the
ended.
same party last night. We're all a little hungover.
Yeah.
Not me. I teetotaled, bitch, as I always do. Islam is life. I'm not hungover.
This
So
is totally
Oh,
disorganized.
let's talk about the party.
Yeah, okay. We all actually we all went to the DSA fundraiser and Christmas party, holiday party last night, and it was a grand old time. Amber, you've been involved in DSA for you're a
Long fucking time.
You're a vet, yeah.
Yeah,
Alter
before I
comfort.
knew any of you, certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long? You said you joined in college?
Yeah, I did. I've been at maybe 8 years or something, going on 8 years.
That's like 2 presidential terms.
Yeah. I
You
didn't
spoke
really
last
have any.
night.
Yeah, I was one of the speakers. This is the most tragic thing. I was like, it was told to me that I was like their celebrity speaker. We need better celebrities.
Well,
Please,
Dad
if you're
Bhaskar
famous,
spoke to.
if you're publishers aren't celebrities, they just think they are.
But by the way, you it was just everyone gets up and then but Amber, you were in like a fur coat and
Yeah.
but you were in a full fur coat. looking like
I was in a fur
celebrity.
coat and I was in a just like a fun little party dress, and I had nice stockings.
It was a reminiscent of the Countess Markowitz.
I spoke about my time in DSA and about how it's very important that people get involved in a big tent socialist organization. And the people before me were talking about like, well, we're working on this civil rights legislation that would protect people from abuse by the police, and we've got this this labor campaign we're working with, and I'm like, hey guys, I'm on codeine. But yeah, by the way, I got sick, and now I'm on the good stuff. I'm not just like hanging out with codeine, but I was definitely just like messed up, and I was just like, okay, well, I don't have anything extremely meaningful to say, so I literally talked about how cute everyone looked, and
Well, you said it's important to look fabulous.
it is important to look fabulous. I'm a luxury socialist in that I want everyone to have a few little luxuries, feeling good, enjoying yourself, leisure.
But like the DSA is sort of having a moment now, right? Like it's
We've
become-
had an explosion in membership.
After the-
Chapters
yeah.
are popping up all over the country. It's going crazy. It's very exciting. People are sort of plugging into local campaigns in their area, and it's not a party, and it's not some sort of vanguard organization. It's just sort of a place to find comrades, and right now it's more
So
important than
if someone
ever.
out there decides to join DSA, like what can they expect? Like what should they do? Or
If
not
you want to
do?
get involved, you can either probably join a local chapter if you're in a large area, or start a chapter, and the national office will put you in touch. They're hiring a bunch of new people now, so like there's been such a surge in membership that we've been able to, and we're member funded. And we've been able to start helping people organize new chapters in different places, and chapters sort of plug in kind of locally with local union stuff, local legislative stuff. The point is at this point to grow and actually create a left institution. And then maybe someday they'll be so powerful that I will be able to denounce them from the left as a communist, as reformist trash, and start my own splinter group.
But that is, I mean, like what is the goal? I mean, like they're now almost like 10,000 members nationwide, which is impressive, but that's still very small. Like
Very
for
small,
a
yeah.
giant country like America, like.
More
There are
people
way
are
more
joining.
furries
More
than there
people
are
are joining.
members of DSA.
Well, you know what? That's not for the Venn diagram.
That's true. Yeah, there's overlap.
No, they were all very attractive, young, cool people last night. And that's been the most exciting thing because there's been this huge generational gap. And for a long time in the local, it would be me and like a bunch of old Jewish men from the Bronx who belonged to the Communist Party when they're, and like that was like a lot of our base, especially in the city.
Should speak when spoken to.
that was where Bernie learned all his misogyny.
Yeah,
from those guys.
from
Well,
the
that
globalists.
gap is so fascinating because, as you said, you got this new influx of young people, and you got the old crusty guard.
Well, the Cold War really killed. The Cold War killed interest in socialism. It created a scare around it, obviously.
And then you just
but it's
had a
over.
whole-
The Cold War is over,
But
baby.
now there's more interest in socialism, and I think particularly a lot of young people after this election, as we have come to the point where they're like, we can't rely on the Democratic Party. What like if they're going to join the DSA, like what's the goal? Like, what does the DSA want to do in the next year or so?
Generally, like the two entryways into socialist politics that people tend to lean towards are, party politics and labor. DSA kind of, they were very active in like Kashama Swant's run, but they tend not to be particularly
Candidate focused, or
small races certainly, but there's just not a lot of candidates that represent us. So I think it just really depends on the region, and it's kind of our goals are sort of trying to adjust to the terrain.
Now I have gotten questions on my Curious Cat now, which is my main source of interaction with the public, specifically about DSA, because for better or worse, I feel like the show is basically I feel like we're sort of being associated with them. Yeah. And really, how would you respond to the criticism that people say? The most common one is they just say, well, DSA, they're just going to they want to push the Democratic Party to the left and just funnel people back into the Democratic Party.
Well, that is the Harringtonian, that was the original line of Michael Harrington. They would talk about to the left of possible or whatever, but a lot of it was about invigorating the left of the Democratic Party. Michael Harrington is very dead. And so are a lot of Harringtonians. The thing is, it's not a particularly, at this point, because of the changing demographic, the organization doesn't really have a strong policy at this point. We tried doing that is the problem, and it's not even necessarily that pushing the Democrats to the left would be a horrible thing, but it doesn't work.
Okay, I was gonna say I'd take it.
Yeah, I wouldn't turn it down. I'm not kicking that out of bed, but for fuck's sake, I mean, we've been trying to do that for a very long time.
But it's not in bed, is the point.
Yeah.
It's got to be in bed before you can kick it out.
Not in bed,
first.
yeah. I mean, there definitely that was the original kind of goal of DSA, but at this point, we're having to think about new strategies because for people our age, it's been pretty obvious that the Democratic Party is not for us. It's not for left people.
Yeah, and people, it seems to me that a lot of the people who have preemptively dismissed it as an organization, considering how much flux it's in because of this new movement and new membership, is just people looking for an excuse to keep not doing anything. It's just another way of being like, oh, well, I can just dismiss them and then continue complaining and not doing anything.
Well, unfortunately, there's no such thing as an isolated socialist. You're not doing your job if you're not working with other people, regardless of whatever.
And that's why I'm so heartened by the growth there, because I love what we do. I love making fun, roasting the libs, and examining the pathology of power as it currently exists. But we also need, like Adam Curtis said in the last episode, we need to start thinking about a future and an alternative. And it's not going to happen on podcasts. It's not going to happen on Twitter. It's going to happen in the real world with people talking to each other and creating solidarity and creating organizations of people who can
we have to be building institutions. It's not just going to be some sort of organic fandom or whatever.
Yeah,
right. I mean, the idea that we could you could build any type of social movement out of consumption of media, even if it's our perfect media.
Yeah, don't stop watching the show, for the
Rowdy
love of
Kung
God.
Fu Master Media.
Keep watching, keep listening to the
most
show.
revolutionary podcast. Okay, the 5th greatest Patreon of all time, folks. But it's an inherently liberal idea that consumption is politics.
Yeah.
Politics is politics.
Yes.
And we're never going to give you a comprehensive vision of the future because that's not what we do. The real comprehensive visions of the future I've heard are from people in DSA. And that's what's needed.
And how
going
it's going to
forward.
be put together is going to be a collaboration.
Yeah.
It's not going to be promulgated by people from any kind of exalted position, because there really isn't anybody in an exalted position with anything approaching a positive vision. I mean, everyone with an exalted position, as we've seen, has been driven insane, and what was delusional and is now like insane, I guess.
Now they're part of the hashtag resistance.
Yeah. I
my
mean,
God.
for me, the most haunting
If they're
article.
the resistance, just send me straight to the fucking firing squad.
Imagine the Hezbollah flag, but the arm is holding up a prescription of Xanax and an iPad. But resistance, I've said it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. Resistance just means I will tweet about this again.
Yeah.
I will come back and speak to the manager.
Yeah. There will be posting.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so Obama gave this press conference the other day where he was like,
Oh, man, the libs were like,
Oh my
he's going to
God.
kick the door
Yeah,
open.
yeah.
And
There's so many
be like,
people-
Yo, motherfuckers.
I love how they just betray their racism when they talk about Obama. They're like, I can't wait till he comes in there and he has a fresh new fade. And it's like, what are you talking about? Fucking weirdo.
He's not the black person of your fantasy, Tim Wise.
Yeah, Tim Wise, like, he's going to go on there and he's going to look directly in the camera and say, Mr. Putin, you bitch motherfucker. Also, Tim Wise could say the N-word.
well, I think a significant chunk, I think we're like really expecting him to be like, I'm canceling the transition.
Yeah.
Like we're putting it on hold. Like, I am the state. I am the law now.
Look at me.
what he
I'm the
did-
captain now.
L'état, c'est moi.
And like what he did was what he's always done, which is just
right.
hem and haw and be like,
Well,
oh, let me be clear, folks.
we got
we're
an
going to
election.
respond to Russia.
Stuff happened. There was some influence by some Russians, maybe.
And what I love about this
You
is
should
that
think about that.
like-
Vladimir Putin has a lot to think about for what he's done with himself.
I think Russians should ask them, is this who we are? Is this who we are as Russians? No, but what I love about that is like and like the disappointment with like, him and Hillary just basically just ghosting entirely.
Fantastic.
Like this idea that like throughout the entire Obama presidency, like whenever you would criticize him from the left of being far too conciliatory to the right, never ever fighting for anything and just like trying to govern bipartisanly. And like the line you'd always hear from these same people was, you don't get it. This is no drama Obama. He's above all that. He knows that like
You're
power.
doing checkers, he's doing chess.
Power doesn't work like that. Like it's all behind. He's not out there. He's all behind the scenes or whatever. And it's just like my answer to them is, well, this is your guy.
Yeah.
Now that you
He's
need him, this is
handing
exactly what
he's handing over the presidency to a serial rapist game show host who wants to turn America into the Running Man. Right. And there's nothing to stop him. The reactionary psychopathic snake handlers hold all three branches of government. There's every single minuscule, like those wonderful incremental reforms that they were also proud of because they show how adult they were, that they take pride in the slow boring of hard boards. Gone. All going to be reversed. They're going to replace Medicare with block grants so that, the governor of Arkansas can build a whites-only water slide. And it's a real example of what C. Wright Mills called crackpot realism, where he talked about these Cold Warriors who were so obsessed with what was realistic in terms of fighting the Cold War. But their premises were insane. Like what they were operating off of was an insane premise. And the entire Obama era and Clinton era Democratic Party has been operating off of this insane premise that we can totally disengage from actually doing politics or having a base. We can just operate on like the technocratic level and make deals and stay behind the scenes and do nudges, and we're still going to be a viable political party. Yeah. That premise was insane. And the thing that haunted me today, this week, like talking about stuff that happened this week, was that article in Politico about the Michigan campaign.
Yeah.
Yes. And like that is why I hope that like a great director someday makes a movie about the Hillary Clinton campaign. Maybe Adam Curtis, maybe Werner Herzog, Paul Thomas Anderson, somebody like that, because the Clinton campaign was the entirety of post-70s managerial liberalism in miniature. It was, we have our charts, we have our data. They say we don't have to campaign in Michigan. They say that we're going to have these states in the bag. Oh, what? Just like look at our charts. They say that NAFTA is a net positive for the American worker, and people are going to appreciate the cheap stuff that they can buy at Walmart. Meanwhile, the middle of the country is just turned into a fucking howling snake pit of Fenlon addicts and empty factories, and the whole time they're just totally oblivious to the ground completely collapsing below their feet. And then they look around and they're in the fucking hole, and they don't know, how the hell did we get here?
The only way that the Russian conspiracy makes sense is if Robbie Mook is like Kerry Russell and Matt Reeves on The Americans. Like, it's the only way the Russian you cannot tell me like Russia threw the election unless you can prove that they had agents working at the highest levels of Hillary Clinton's campaign.
Unless when the Michigan campaign called Brooklyn and said, "Hey, we've got people want lawn signs," the voice came back, "Oh no, we do not need you to have long signs. Long signs no less. We have your algorithm. It says we don't need long signs."
How about instead of lawn signs, we give you big fur hats?
How about for campaign slogan? Love Trump's hat. Like
we send Lena Dunham.
I mean, what is the Russian explanation? Did the Russians cause Democrats just to not pay attention and make gifts while Scott Brown won a special election in Massachusetts in 2009? Like, what? How much can you blame on the Russians? Because they
used a bunch of sexy honey trap, Natasha Badanovs to distract people from actually making decent policy decisions over the course of the last 12 to 16 years. And that's how they.
In my mind, if there's a Russian mole in this, the one that makes most sense is Obama, because Obama got elected in 2008 on a combination of the backwash of a disastrous Bush presidency that everybody had turned on, a economic crisis that literally happened in the middle of the campaign, and a personal charisma that was basically a once in a generation talent, and they won it easily. And the lesson that Democrats took was, we've solved this. We can win the presidency forever now. And it was entirely based on
just keep catching lightning.
It was entirely based on his charisma. Meanwhile, the Democratic Party under Obama continued with policies that made every Democrat who wasn't Barack Obama, who was just some, dickhead comptroller running for state representative in Ohio or something, unelectable. Like, he became literally the only Democrat who could get elected in a lot of the country. And they didn't realize it. And then that's why Hillary Clinton's campaign was premised on, well, we have this model and we're going to use it. But instead of the incredibly charismatic, once-in-a-generation politician who beat her when they ran against each other, we're going to run the incredibly tainted, just deeply disliked, anti-charismatic person. And it's going to work the same way. And no, it did not.
I mean, look, let's interrogate the insanity of this kind of realism. I mean, we can gloss over the insanity of their foreign policy, that we're going to defeat Al-Qaeda in one part of the world by making children afraid of clear skies, because that means that they're going to get incinerated by robots, that we're going to fund every side of a war in Syria. It's just, if you like the Eric Garland tweet story, if you write it all out on one page of paper, you go, holy shit, this is fucking insane. But their domestic political program was that they just assumed, because Republicans were so good at elections, that we were going to have Republican houses of Congress forever. And the only backstop against that would be a Democratic presidency. And since we have a permanent 51% coalition that no one's ever going to stop showing up for, that it's not that Obama's especially charismatic and knows how to appeal to people, that, that unusually likable guy that we put in there who just really didn't do a fucking thing. Okay, what if we had the same thing, had 30 years of baggage, and she vomits and faints a lot?
And she won't drink water.
Like, write this all out on paper as your vision of the future, and you just see somebody who's ruined their mind with Xanax, probably.
Oh, dear. Well, Swordfish is almost over.
Yeah.
So
I have to go to the bathroom for 5 minutes because of a certain scene in this movie.
Swordfish is almost over, and before the show ends this week, I actually want to give a shout out to a fan who, again, I want to just keep encouraging people to send me things. Fan of the show, Ursula Felice Lawrence. She makes French Republican wall calendars. I'm holding it right here. It's very cool. Matt, you're the history guy. Can you explain the concept behind the French Republican calendar?
It's the dorkiest undertaking in the history of Western civilization, and I love it for that. A bunch of highly analytical, I guess would be a nice way of putting it, gentlemen in the revolutionary French government decided that the old Julian calendar was bullshit, and we need a new one that is more rational. So they also had, as part of that rationalization process, had introduced the metric system, which has taken off. It works very well. Everything's by 10. You don't have to memorize the conversions. But they decided to basically make time a metric. So they got rid of the ragged unevenness of months. Some days have 30 months, or some months have 30 days, some have 31, some have 29. What? Every 4 years? What's going on? So they divided time, the year, into 10 months, all of which had 3 10-day weeks. And then there was going to be, and that left a week at the end that was going to be like a week-long festival.
But all the days are like named after different and fruits
every day is
and
named after
harvest
fruit,
item.
And every month is named. It's sort of like they're kind of shitty portmanteaus between French and Greek about that time of the year, like Thermidor, which is in the summer. That means like hot. Fructidor, which is I believe in the spring, is about fruit. Ripening and stuff like that. It's just so nerdy that I can't not love it.
Yeah, these people would be steampunks today.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking at it, and we are currently in the month of Frimaire, which is frost.
Yup.
So we're in Amber's month right now.
Uh-huh.
It's Amber's time.
I mean,
of year.
it's always my month. But,
And you can look back in last year's, in this year's 2016's calendar. Election day was the 18th of Brumaire, which was both the day of Napoleon's coup and then the title of Karl Marx's book about the ascension of his failed nephew, Louis Napoleon, to the throne. And I really do think that of all the comparisons that get thrown around about Trump, the most elucidating one is Louis Napoleon. So once again, I say, check out the 18th Brumaire.
I'm just looking at the days of this month are named for sugar maple, juniper, something called grub hoe. Oh, it's a grub hoe. It's a farming implement.
Grubhub?
Yeah, truffle, olive, and crickets.